Hey, recovery kings and queens, this is Sarah, and welcome to You're So Annoying When I'm Sober. Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my podcast. Last week's podcast was amazing. If you haven't listened to that one, please go back and take a listen to that. Super good story, super good person. And she definitely has one of those stories that I will just never forget. This week episode, we're going to be looking over strategies of recovery, how to stay motivated, the importance of accountability, those type of things. So let's just dive right in. Basically, we have 10 strategies you can try for your recovery. There's a lot more than that, actually, but I'm going to narrow it down to 10 for now. So let's see. Number 1 would be taking responsibility for your choices and feeling empowered to make those changes. Number 2, sleep is very important through your recovery. Number 3, setting healthy boundaries, saying goodbye to your suppliers or your using buddies. Number 4, removing yourself from unhealthy situations. Number 5, treatment. Number 6, attending self-help groups. Number 7, having self-compassion. Number 8, building a support system. Number 9, holding yourself accountable publicly. Number 10, meditation. And these are not in any specific order. These are just some that I have definitely used throughout my recovery. So when I first dived into recovery, I didn't know any of these strategies. I really didn't know anything about recovery. I came broken, alone, and desperate for help, right? I had to take one day at a time. I had to have some small goals at first. For me, it was stay clean and get a roof over my head. Those were my goals, right? I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get a place on my own and stay clean without having that accountability. So then that's when I turned to Oxford and I accomplished getting clean and I accomplished getting a roof over my head. Then I was able to start talking to others in the recovery community of what to do next. Just having conversations with people, that's when you learn the most. So I started doing meetings, treatment, and counseling. And because I did have a roof over my head, I was doing outpatient treatment. And from there, I was getting used to groups and getting used to the meeting setting and meeting more people and learning more tools. And these were all stepping stones that came into play that helped lead me further down my path of recovery, like a chain event, right? You coming in and not knowing anything doesn't mean you're not going to learn throughout. You're going to find the ways when you find the will, right? And I was willing to do anything that it took and able to get clean because I was desperate, just like in the last episode, you guys. It just goes hand in hand, right? All right. So let's talk about these strategies in detail, right? Because I just kind of, little by little went through them, what they were. But, number 1 was taking responsibility of your choices and feeling empowered to make those changes. So when I first got into recovery or wanting to get clean, what was the first thing that I had to do? I had to take responsibility for my actions. I had to admit that I had a problem. And I had to admit that I needed help. And with that, I was shocked when people were so almost impressed, right? It was, for me, it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I had all of my character defects out to play. And I couldn't believe when people, after admitting what I was so against, what I was so in denial about, were actually proud of me. And that was a huge step. So that definitely empowers you. Number 2 was sleeping. For me, my DOC was meth, so sleeping was really hard for me in the very beginning. I did a couple of things. I have, like I said, for self-care, I had white noise playing. I set up a time that I would go to bed every single night. I would read to help me get sleepy when I was about to go to sleep. And that really helped me to start getting that routine and getting tired. No matter what, I'm in bed. I'm not on a screen. I'm not doing anything else but focusing on trying to sleep. And, even some people, they can't read and fall asleep. To them, sometimes that'll just keep them up. So even though that worked for me, that might not work for you. And that's okay. We're all going to learn different ways. And as long as you're making it a routine, that makes it a habit, and you start to get used to going to bed at that time, and you will eventually start having that internal alarm clock where you go to bed at a certain time and you wake up at a certain time. Number 3, setting healthy boundaries. Saying goodbye to your suppliers and your using buddies. This is really hard, but this is really important. I could not be around anyone that would trigger my using. If I was able to get it from them, or it made me feel like I wanted to, that's not going to help my recovery, especially in the beginning. And even now, I'm about to celebrate 3 years, God willing, on the 29th. No fronts. I get it. But I'm just saying, even to this day, you're not going to see me going and hanging out with anybody who's using. Absolutely not. I am not going to be put into a position or put myself into a position of any kind of temptation. For what? To me, you do that, you want to use, right? That's how I feel about it. And that's a strong opinion, but it is mine. Number 4, remove yourself from unhealthy situations. Same concept, right? You have drinking buddies, or you're dating someone who drinks or does your DOC or all of the above, and you're constantly in their house and smelling it and seeing it and all those things. That's not going good for you. It's only a matter of time, Number 5 is treatment. I know a lot of people will take that and kind of be like, well, I don't have time for it. I can't afford it. There are so many excuses, but there are always solutions to back it up. I was busy. I literally went to outpatient treatment because I still had to work. I was in contact with my outpatient treatment about my work schedule and what that looked like. And we worked around it, I just feel like not where there's a will, there's a way. I know that is so cliche, but it's true. If you really want something, you're going to make it happen, no matter what. No matter the excuse, no matter the reasons or your justification in your head, it's going to happen, right? Because you're willing. Number 6, attending self-help groups. Again, this is to each their own. 2 or more people talking about recovery is considered a meeting. So your recovery program looks like how you want it to look. However, just know that those groups and those meetings that are put together, that's where you're meeting those people. That's where you're learning those things. And I think it is very important to kind of surround yourself with these people in the very beginning, especially because you see them and you see their will, you see their way and their higher power's way, and you embrace it and you learn from that. Number 7, having self-compassion. So you're not going to be perfect. There are going to be some tests, if you will, during your recovery, whether it be early, mid, or later on in your recovery. Something's going to go down, and you may have those feelings cross your mind. Maybe you can't get it off your mind, but talking bad to yourself about it and not feeling good about that is not going to help. You have to have compassion for yourself. Know that you're doing everything that you can to get clean and stay clean when you are doing everything you can, right? Number 8, building a support system. That definitely goes hand in hand with going to meetings or groups or counseling or what have you. That's where my support system came from, was Oxford, NA meetings, and even work. Of course, family. That's absolutely. But even my work, I'm loud and proud about my recovery. I get a lot of support there as well. Number 9, hold yourself accountable publicly. Yes, publicly. So for me, public accountability was with my Oxford house, my family, my kids, okay, and any friends that I may have still had. I don't know that I had much. But with that, I was clear and honest about exactly what I was going through, exactly what I was doing to get through it. And with that, of course, it makes you want to stay on the same path. Everybody's proud of you. Everybody's rooting for you. Everybody sees you. And then you're just going to go and relapse. It just doesn't sit right with me. And I know that's true with a lot of you. So with that said, number 10, last but definitely not least, meditation. I think meditation is super important. This gives you your time. This gives you time to focus on your breathing, time to focus on what your higher power has to say to you. A lot of reflection, all these things. It's just very, very important to ground your mind, body, and soul with meditation. And, there's even in the beginning of my recovery, there was a time that I couldn't get a hold of my first sponsor who got me started. And I went through my mom to get a hold of her because I was having a panic attack. I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to use, or I was having anxiety and I couldn't get through it, or I felt like I couldn't get through it. And she taught me some meditation type techniques, grounding myself, right? And right away, just hearing that support, hearing those tools, using those tools, calmed me down. So doing what's suggested is truly, truly a blessing. Sometimes I forget about these things that had happened, and it's really cool that I'm able to come on here and kind of relive it as I'm telling you guys about this stuff. It's pretty awesome. And I just, again, thank you for sharing this with me. Now, here's some strategies to stay motivated to do these things, right? Motivation is the drive to achieve your goals or needs. So I believe that motivation is super important. I believe it helps you stay motivated, solve your problems, helps change bad habits, and helps you to learn how to cope with like challenges and opportunities you might have as well. Opportunities that might be scary, you know. The way I stay motivated is by continuing to review my goals. Seeing progress is a huge motivator, right? So when you set your new goals, small obtainable ones, to help build that self-confidence, whether that be setting a much needed doctor's appointment. I remember when I was just on the phone constantly in the beginning of my recovery, doing all the things that I never was doing to take care of myself or my children when I was in my active addiction, right? So even just, okay, I'm going to call the doctor today and get appointments for me and my kids or what have you, or going on that walk during the day or in the night. Completing these goals will build your confidence and help you through your recovery journey. Because, you know, you sit back and you say, wow, I'm capable. I can do this. And I'm achieving these goals. How amazing is this? And it feels so good. Let's see, finding mentors or a sponsor or both to look up to is very motivating. Like, wow, I want what they have. And I'm talking happiness, right? That recovery glow that people have, that strength, that focus, you know, not necessarily the material things, although that can be enticing as well for some. And there's nothing wrong with some material motivation here and there. I don't think, you know, as long as the goal setting is not strictly envying, right? Like if it's just me being like, oh, I want that. Like, why don't I have a house? Yeah. Like, oh my God. And you're just comparing yourself. That's not going to get you nowhere. Okay. You know what? I want a car like that. Hell yeah. Okay, cool. I'm going to talk to them and see, how did you get to this place? Because I want to get to this place too, right? And you start setting those bigger goals as you're moving forward, right? But don't go too quick. Let this journey take you exactly where it's supposed to go. You know, let your higher power have you exactly where you're supposed to be, exactly in the right moment at the right time. And I definitely want to focus more on, you know, the importance of accountability. Setting up your accountability with peers and your mentors and family and friends, right? For me personally, I stayed off of Facebook for the first 2 years of my recovery because it was a huge trigger for me, because that's what I just mocked earlier about comparing myself or comparing yourself. That's exactly what I did. You know, look at these amazing people that I grew up with, and they're there and I'm here. Well, that's their story and this is mine. And also, social media does not show all the bad or the struggle or the hard work or anything, right? So I had to take 2 years off. I finally got back on when I decided to be a part of the Oxford House World Committee last year. And they talk in Messenger. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. And doing so, it came more naturally rather than actually pushing myself to do it, right? So to keep myself motivated, I meant to keep myself accountable. Publicly, I didn't have like a public platform to stay accountable on in that way, but I had my family, my kids, and my counselor in treatment, of course, and my roommates in Oxford. Basically, you want all of those that are close to you to know that help to continue on the path you were on, even off of social media. I met my sponsor, my friends, and my mentors. Now that I am back on social media, I also use that as part of my strategy to stay clean. Sharing my story, sharing my clean date, sharing my accomplishments, and always staying positive about it, right? It's good not to put your negative shit out there. It ain't nobody's business. For what? To have unnecessary opinions or backlash from people that don't pay your bills? You know, it's okay to be positive on Facebook, and it's okay to share beautiful things in your life. And I now can say that I love to see everyone else's beautiful things because, and this is just my hypothesis, because I'm happy with myself, because I am happy in the life that I am living. I am no longer envious of others. Do I set goals based on something I might want to achieve as well? Of course I do. But do I resent anybody over it? Absolutely not. And that feels great. That feels wonderful. There's so many things I'm noticing a difference in myself since I started my journey. And I totally believe the 12-step program, even if you weren't an alcoholic or an addict, it would be beneficial just to work on yourself within. I'm sure there's probably something out there that is like the non-addict version of these 12 steps or something, because wow, I've learned so much about myself doing these steps, honestly. And I just continue to grow and continue to learn and continue to work on these strategies myself. Nobody's perfect. But as long as we are doing our best, that's all we can do. And with all of that said, I hope you enjoyed my episode, and I hope you keep coming back for more. Next week, I may have a guest, or I may not. I'm not sure. We're going to just keep rolling this out because I'm really enjoying it, and I hope you are too. Stay tuned.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. And if you're still struggling, don't stay annoying. Get sober.